What up, dudes? It's Gaz, and welcome back to another Warframe video. So, Jade Shadows comes out on Tuesday, and I get the Galaxian Augment tomorrow, so I thought today we'd just go over the new Arcanes launching the Jade Shadows update. We got 5 new Arcanes, and we're going to tell you where they come from, and we're going to do some theory crafting and, some build crafting kind of stuff with these new Arcanes that will be coming out in the Jade Shadows update. So yeah, 5 new Arcanes. Some of them sound really good, some of them sound forgettable at best. So let's get right into the theory crafting and discussion on this. But before we do, make sure you sub this channel. We do daily Warframe video uploads. I'll be covering the Jade Shadows update in depth on this channel, so you're in the right place for all those kinds of videos. Build videos, discussion videos, news videos, etc., etc. So let's get right into these new Arcanes we got. Alright, so now, as far as the location of these, DE has stated that everything in the update will come from the Ascension game mode. So get ready to grind that elevator mission if you want to get these Arcanes. Of course, you could buy them from other players, but there won't be really anybody that has the maxed out version of this unless you've grinded the Arcane event. Well, rather, the Ascension Belly of the Beast event. These Arcanes should just relaunch from the normal Ascension mode because the event's only going to be here for a limited time. But yeah, let's start with the first Arcane, and that's going to be called Battery Armor. Battery Armor will be an Arcane for your Warframe, and you will gain 0.30 maximum energy for every point of armor you have, up to 1,000 extra energy. So you would need to have a lot of armor to get 1,000 energy out of this Arcane. So it's not even one. If it was like a 1-to-1 conversion, that'd be kind of crazy good. But as it stands right now, this will probably be okay on frames that don't have that much energy, and would prefer not to have to run Prime Flow on the build. You can basically look at this as a replacement to Prime Flow on some builds. But depending on which frame you're playing, some frames don't have that much armor. For example, my Saren Prime would get 105 energy out of this, because she only has 315 armor. I don't mod for armor on Saren Prime. But you know where this could be actually pretty good, and it's extremely niche. But let's go over the extremely niche use case for this I've thought of. Now, if you've ever watched any of those like Tau Shard videos I put out on my channel, I have like Purple Tau Shard Korra, Purple Tau Shard Kalervo, Purple Tau Shard Varuna, a couple other ones as well. Purple Tau Shards give you massive critical damage, but they require you to have enough energy to hit like over 500 energy. Some frames cannot achieve going 5 Purple Tau Shards. They can only go 4 Purple Tau Shards because their energy pool is so low. Even with Prime Flow, they do not have 500 energy. This can change that. You will be able to have extra critical damage on frames like, I think Varuna is one of them. I think Varuna and Ashe. Maybe Ashe has enough, actually. But there are some frames that don't have enough energy with just Prime Flow to get the 5 Purple Tau Shard setup. So that would be potentially what you could go for on them. Additionally, I mean, beyond that, extra energy is not going to really do a ton for you unless we have some new, raid mechanics where it's, it draining your energy over time. So, ultimately, this will end up being, a couple hundred extra energy, depending which frame you're playing. On lower armor frames, it's really not going to be worth considering. But on some frames that cannot get to the 500 energy with just Prime Flow, this could be a potential tool to use to get to that amount. I don't think it will be worth it because, what is, one Archon Shard? What do you put, Arcane Strike in that slot, or Arcane Fury or something. So I'm not going to dwell on this one for too long, but I do think it has some extremely niche use cases. But when you're getting Battery Armor to drop, don't be excited about it, honestly. Okay, moving on to the second Arcane here. We've got Arcane Icestorm. Now, this one sounds a little bit more exciting than Battery Armor. This one's going to be similar to Molt Augmented and Molt Efficiency, but with a twist. So if you remember, there are going to be cold proc changes in the Jade Shadows update, where enemies can be actually frozen solid when they have enough cold procs on them. This Arcane Icestorm, which is going to be for your Warframe, will tie into this new type of cold proc change. So, on enemy frozen solid, gain 2% strength and 2% duration for 15 seconds. Stacks up to 20 times. So freezing 20 enemies shouldn't be any problem at all. If you put on Shivering Contagion on your Sentinel stat stick, or if you just put Shivering Contagion on one of your weapons, Shivering Contagion does work on abilities and does work on cold procs to spread cold procs out. So you'll be freezing enemies constantly with Shivering Contagion, or if you're playing Frost for that matter. So yeah, the 20 enemies frozen in 15 seconds shouldn't be a problem as long as there's enough enemies alive. The thing I'm more worried about here and more like concerned about is going to be the actual numbers this gives to you. Because on certain builds, I mean, this is what, 40% power strength, 40% duration when fully stacked up. 60% power strength for Molt Augmented usually is really nice. And also that one's always active. Just get 250 kills, you're going to have that bonus going. For this, you have to be constantly freezing enemies. You're not going to always have the full bonus active because it lasts for 15 seconds. Molt Augmented will be still more reliable. And for some frames, you don't even need a duration in the first place. So this would be basically, and also for Frost specifically, I don't even know if I'm going to run this on Frost, because I was running like Arcane Precision for pistol damage and Molt Augmented for power strength on Frost. Now, I might have been a little bit overkill on the power strength numbers, but my Frost build works really, really well. So me losing 20% strength for 40% duration on Frost doesn't seem super worth it, but I'm down to be, you know, surprised in the end. I don't think losing the 20% duration for losing the 20% strength for the duration is worth it for Frost specifically, but maybe some specific frame out there could use this. But remember, this is a lot more conditional than Molt Augmented, because Molt Augmented always has, once you get those kills, you are in buffed power strength mode for the rest of the mission. This, on the other hand, you could easily lose it if you don't constantly freeze stuff. So, not looking forward to this one as much, although it does have a cool name, Arcane Icestorm, for your Warframe. Moving on to the third Arcane here. Now, this one is probably going to be the one that like people are going to want to buy. People are going to want to farm for this. It sounds really strong, and it sounds like it might even be a mistake a little bit because it's that good. So let's go over Secondary Fortifier for your secondary weapon. Reminder, these will all drop from the Ascension game mode. So it'll probably be like, you know, beat the mission, get one Arcane. Beat the mission, get another Arcane. And you need 21 copies of these Arcanes to get them maxed out. So it's going to be a lot of farming. But yeah, Secondary Fortifier, you will get plus 1% overguard steel. So we'll talk about what I think that means in a second here. And then additionally, 8 times more damage dealt to overguard. This is for your secondary weapon. Now, first off, let's just go ahead and address the elephant in the room. Will this work on Mesa's Peacemaker pistol? Secondary Outburst does. I don't think this one will. And what I think Overguard Steel means, whenever you damage an enemy that has Overguard with your pistol that this is equipped on, it will steal the Overguard and give you some of the Overguard. So if you have this equipped on like an Epitaph or an AoE pistol of some kind, randomly hitting an Overguard enemy with your Epitaph shot should give you some Overguard. It's going to be 1% of the damage dealt to the Overguard will be given to you. That's what my prediction for this is. And that might not sound like a lot of Overguard, but remember that we're getting 8 times more damage to Overguard with the Arcane as well. So I think this one might become extremely good. Think about like this: the Akya Core with Overguard on hit, you know, the Spore Lacer with Overguard on hit, the Dual Toxicist dealing 8 times damage to Overguard and giving you Overguard on hit. This could be potential with how much damage we already deal, and the enemy's armor being nerfed. This might become a go-to mod for many high-level missions because we already deal so much damage. Deadhead's not really needed. Outburst is really nice. I don't know if I call it needed, though. Outburst is really, really nice for, like, easy red crits and little upkeep needed. But yeah, this one is going to be less damage, but you're going to have more utility. You're going to get that Overguard on hit. You're going to deal more damage to Overguard, and in missions like Void Cascade, the Thrax enemies have a ton of Overguard and constantly are spawning, so having more damage to Overguard could be nice. The problems with this one is, like I said, it will be doing less damage than things like Outburst and Deadhead, because Deadhead gives you, like, what, 360% damage? Outburst gives you, like, 120% crit, or 220% crit damage and crit chance. This is only on Overguard. When you're shooting an enemy that has no Overguard at all, this Arcane is doing literally nothing against that enemy. So that is a potential problem for some players, but I think the ease of use and utility of having Overguard on any character with no Dante Specters needed is quite interesting. So I'm looking forward to trying out Secondary Fortifier when it drops in the new update. Got 2 more Arcanes here to go over as far as theory crafting, and the next one's going to be Secondary Surge for your secondary weapon. On ability cast, grants a 1x damage multiplier to your next shot for every 200 energy you currently have. Now, this one definitely sounds weird, but what I'm thinking here is that if you use a weapon like the Lex Incarnon, that is like, you know, you kind of just hold on to it whenever the Acolyte's about to appear. At least on my Saren build, that's what I kind of do. I don't have the Lex equipped right now, but I usually do have the Lex equipped. I'll use my Sobek for add clear. I'll use my secondary Lex Incarnon to kill the Acolyte in one hit, and I'll use like whatever melee I have equipped at the time. So that being said, for my specific Saren build, I am going to have this juiced up Lex shot stacked, ready to go for whenever the Acolyte appears. It will be well, I've got 855 energy, so it should be about a 4x multiplier against the Acolyte. Now, will that be better than Secondary Outburst, or will that be better than, like, Deadhead or whatever? Probably not. It's a lot more conditional. It should always be procced, at least, because I'm casting abilities quite often. But yeah, we'll have to see exactly how the math on this one applies. I don't think it's on the next shot. So you're going to be wanting to use this on slow-firing, hard-hitting weapons. Using this on, like, the dual tox will not be worth it. You'll have a buff shot for 1 bullet, and that thing fires out like 20 bullets per second or whatever. So yeah, I'm thinking more weapons like the Lex Incarnon, the Catch Moon, you know, the slow fire weapons that can hit enemies really hard. This will make them hit even harder, but it's not going to really feel that, it doesn't seem like it'll be that great. Oh, you know what could be funny? Actually, the Azima with this is going to be kind of funny with the turret, but we'll see about that. It's going to be like you're using this thing as a utility weapon, and the utility is killing an Acolyte or an elite enemy in 1 bullet. So, not looking forward to this one as much. Most of these arcanes aren't seeming super crazy. They're a little bit more on the niche side. So, let's go over the last one here, and we'll talk about the overall best arcanes of this pack. And the last one is, unfortunately, a very forgettable one, at least to me, but maybe it will be good if we do some more theory crafting. It's going to be for melees, Melee Affliction. So this would be for your melee weapon. And kind of funny, this is the first melee arcane that does not drop from the Kavia. Okay, add 6 stacks to existing status effects on enemies that are knocked off their feet by melee attacks. So this one requires I believe it will require the lifted status effect on melees. So some stances like Blade and Whip can do this built in. Some, I think Scythes might have that built in for some of their stances as well, but mainly this will be coming from heavy slam attacks. So, what I'm thinking here is you are about to, like, put a bunch of fire procs on them, put a bunch of electric procs, put a bunch of DOT procs, whatever kind of proc you got, slash procs even, and then you will slam attack them. And that will give them more of the slash procs they already had on them. Now, that being said, like, if that's actually how this is supposed to work, I don't even think they should have bothered with this arcane. This is way too niche, way too specific, and enemies that are procced up with those types of procs should already be dead, honestly. Like, me having to me slash procking them and then slam attacking them feels a little bit too much. Now, maybe there's a slam attack build with Garuda there to mess with. I might have to make that, but that being said, melee exposure, tons of extra corrosive damage on your slam attack. Melee crescendo, infinite 12x on your slam attack. what is melee afflictions going to be doing that, you know, is actually necessary or even remotely needed in any way? I don't see the benefit of this because enemies that are having procs on them already should be about to be dead as far as I'm concerned. And if they're getting 6 more of the little tiny heat proc they had on them in the first place, you know, like a Phantasma could drop like 100 heat procs on them or whatever. So I don't think this one's going to be that great, but I would love to, you know, find some fun Garuda build after this comes out that is like, you know, crazy slash procs using this arcane. So as far as going over which ones should you be looking out for, which ones should you be farming from Ascension to have for yourself or to maybe sell to other players, I think definitely there's no question about it. Secondary Fortifier is sound like the most exciting to most players because we'll have overguard on any frame, hopefully very easily, and we'll deal increased damage to overguard in missions like Void Cascade. For the other ones, though, Arcane Icestorm might be kind of fun because it busts power, strength, and duration, but it's a little bit conditional. I think a lot of players are just going to stick with Molt Augmented, including myself. And as far as like the other ones, Secondary Surge might be fun, but this will not become meta. None of these will become meta besides maybe the Overguard stealing one. Battery Armor, extremely niche. Secondary Surge, extremely niche. And Melee Affliction's extremely niche. So we got an Overguard stealing arcane on the way. You got a Duration and Power Strength arcane for freezing enemies on the way. But overall, I think the main prize of this update will be the Jade Warframe, and these status changes are going to be really great. So, yep, these all come from the Ascension mode, as DE stated. Everything from the update comes from the Ascension mode, so we'll see you there, grinding out the elevator mission, rev up the elevator. It's time to farm, so I'll see you guys tomorrow on stream, and we'll be covering the Jade Shadows update in depth, so make sure you hit that sub button, guys. Alright, I'll see you next time. Take it easy. Peace!